In Netflix's The Watcher, a couple's dream home turns into a total nightmare. Ryan Murphy's limited series is based on a true story that is almost too horrifying to believe. Dean and Nora Brannick move to an idyllic New Jersey neighborhood where they believe their children will be safe from the evils of the world. But something sinister lurks in these affluent suburbs. Shortly after moving in, the couple begins receiving threatening letters from someone claiming to be the Watcher, who begins to terrorize the family in ways that any American Horror Story fan would recognize. The Watcher, starring Jennifer Coolidge and Rosemary's Baby's Mia Farrow, gives AHS Murder House a run for its money by taking a few liberties with the terrifyingly true story on which it is based. But that doesn't mean the real events aren't terrifying in their own right. In today's video, we decided to take a look at the true story behind the Netflix hit. When did The Watcher send the first letter? The real-life pair Derek and Maria Brodus inspired the Brannicks in The Watcher. The couple received their first letter from The Watcher 3 days after closing on their Westfield, New Jersey house in June 2014. The white mail with large block lettering was addressed to the new owner of the 1905 six-bedroom, 3.5-bathroom estate. According to the 2018 New York Magazine piece that inspired the Netflix series, inside was a typed note that began politely enough. Please allow me to welcome you to the community, dear new neighbor at 657 Boulevard. The message's tone suddenly became significantly less welcoming. The property, located 45 minutes outside of New York City, had been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I've been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming, according to the anonymous writer. My grandpa kept an eye on the house in the 1920s, and my father kept an eye on it in the 1960s. It's now my turn. The letter questioned whether they were aware of the 3,869 square foot single-family home's history. Are you aware of what lies within the confines of 657 Boulevard? What brings you here? I'm going to find out. The letter writer appeared to have done their homework on the Brodus family, chastising them for making house improvements and threatening to kidnap their 3 children. Was your previous home too tiny for your growing family? Or was it greed that brought me your children? The enigmatic stalker wrote. Once I learn their names, I'll summon them and draw them to me. The letter had no return address but ended with a foreboding line. Welcome, dear friends. Welcome. Let the festivities begin. It was signed in typed cursive, The Watcher. Derek and Maria discovered the next day that the previous owners of their new home, John and Andrea Woods, had also received a strange letter from someone claiming to be The Watcher. The Woodses received a letter in the days leading up to their departure in which the writer claimed they'd been keeping a close eye on the house. The couple, who had lived there for 23 years and had never heard from The Watcher before, assumed it was a joke and threw the letter away without much thought. The letter, however, was taken seriously by the police, who advised the Broduses not to tell anyone about it, especially their new neighbors, who are now suspects. Another letter arrived 2 weeks after the first. The Watcher wrote, "The workers have been busy, and I've been watching you unload carloads of your personal belongings. A nice touch is the dumpster. If they found what is in the walls yet, you will in time." Derek and Maria grew worried by how much information this person knew about them and their family, including the names and birth order of their children. The family had yet to move into their new home due to the renovation and the creepy letter, and the Watcher seemed eager to see them do so. The writer wondered if they would let their children, whom he referred to as young blood, play in the basement. Or are they too afraid to go down there by themselves? If I were them, I would be terrified. It's separated from the rest of the house. You would never hear them scream if you were upstairs, he wrote.
Who are you?
On that same note, the Watcher let the family know that he passes by many times a day. 657 Boulevard is my job, my life, my obsession, and now you are too, Brodus family. After the second letter, Derek and Maria stopped bringing their kids to what was supposed to be their new home.
Can you keep us safe?
Weeks later, they received another letter. "Where have you gone to?" The Watcher wrote. 657 Boulevard is missing you. The Watcher sent a total of 4 letters, but recent evidence found a 5th letter where he's urging you to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss our fantastic content. Did the Brodus family ever move to their new home? No. In fact, 6 months after closing on the property and purchasing the house for $1.4 million, they put it back on the market. They were unable to find a buyer due to the creepy letters, which the Brodesses chose to disclose to anyone who came and looked at the property. "I don't know how you lived through what we did and think you could do it to somebody else," Derek told New York Magazine. The Brodesses attempted to sell the house again in 2016 for $1.25 million, but the letters were a no-go for potential buyers. The family's real estate lawyer suggests that they sell the home to a developer who would tear down the place, a move that would have required the Westfield Planning Board's blessing, since dividing the lot into 2 homes would go against local code. The Brodesses' request was unanimously rejected after a heated 4-hour board meeting in which many locals aired their worries that tearing down 657 Boulevard would lower the cost of their homes and ruin the aesthetic of the neighborhood. Months later, the Brodesses were able to rent out the home, but shortly after the new family moved in, the Watcher sent another letter. It was dated February 13th, which was the same day the Brodesses gave a deposition in a legal complaint they filed in June 2015 against the home's previous owners, the Woodses, who they claimed should have warned them about the Watcher. The complaint was later dismissed by a judge. "You wonder who the Watcher is? Turn around, idiots," read the letter, which arrived 2.5 years after the Brodesses bought the home. "Maybe you even spoke to me, one of the so-called neighbors who has no idea who the Watcher could be. Or maybe you do know and are too scared to tell anyone. Good move." The new letter was more aggressive than the previous 3, with the writer complaining about the media attention the Brodesses had brought to My Neighborhood, but celebrated how the locals had saved the soul of 657 Boulevard with my orders. The Watcher even threatened revenge on Derek and Maria, seemingly plotting their deaths. Maybe a car accident, maybe a fire, maybe something as simple as a mild illness that never seems to go away but makes you feel sick day after day after day after day after day. Was the Watcher ever caught? From the beginning, police suspected that someone in the Westfield neighborhood was behind the letters. Initially, they believed Michael Langford, the Brodesses' next-door neighbor whose family had lived there since the 60s. There wasn't much hard evidence against Langford, and he was never arrested. When a later investigation revealed that the DNA on the envelope was female, authorities investigated Michael's sister Abby Langford, a real estate agent, and the home's previous owner Andrea Woods. Neither was a match. Even Maria's DNA was tested, but she was quickly cleared of any wrongdoing. Another possible suspect, a man who was into really dark video games and often played as a character named The Watcher, according to his girlfriend, was also dismissed after he failed to show up for multiple meetings with authorities. Some people in the neighborhood told New York Magazine that it was possible the Brodesses were behind the off-putting letters, suggesting the couple had realized they couldn't afford the home and wrote the creepy notes themselves in order to get out of the sale. Some even suggested that the couple were scammers looking for a movie deal. Derek did admit to mailing anonymous emails to his neighbors who had criticized him on Facebook about 3 years after the Watcher had contacted him. He hoped the notes signed Friends of the Brodess Family would help him clear his family's name, but it only made him feel more dejected by the circumstance. "It's like cancer," he told New York Magazine in 2018 about the whole process. "We think about it every day." Despite a comprehensive investigation by Westfield police, the Watcher has yet to be caught. Thank you for watching today's video, and if you did enjoy it, subscribe and watch this video about 5 Hollywood horror movies that happened in real life.
Your family, you are going to get out of that house.
Is that what we should be telling our kids?